Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So we're going to put together another odds and ends video for you guys this week. I've got some viewer mail that has been sitting around for a while that we need to get through and get covered. Also got a couple of eBay purchases and just a couple of updates and some news items to give you guys as well. I will say that last Saturday, which is normally my day to work in the shop, didn't get to spend the day working in the shop. I spent the day out at the museum. They had a big special event going on, and we were actually operating the steam-powered sawmill all day. And I spent the day on the sawmill crew out there. Had a really good time, and to boot, we were actually sawing some of my logs that we're going to cut the timbers out of to use in my new shop project. So I was really excited to get some more progress done on that as well. I know several of you have been asking about me doing a video on the sawmill. I did a little bit on that, and I kind of put it in some videos earlier, but I'm going to do a full-blown steam-powered sawmill video, and I've been working on it now for a while. The problem that I have with doing that video is that usually when we're running the steam-powered sawmill, the museum's open for business. We got visitors coming in and out. And unlike when I'm working in the shop by myself, I can set cameras up, I can get angles, I can talk to you guys and tell you what's going on. When we're out there and we got the public in front of us, it's really not cool to have video cameras out and trying to film stuff and also trying to slow down. We're trying to get work done, and it's really hard to slow down to do that. So I've been kind of doing a little bit at a time, and I got a little bit more I need to get done that I'll try to get worked in the next few times we run the sawmill, which we'll be running it again some over the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll have a sawmill video coming up soon for you guys. While we're on the subject of the shop build, still getting a lot of questions from you guys. I know everybody's excited about the shop. I'm excited about the shop. We still haven't really gotten the project going yet, and what has happened there is we got all the site ready for them to come in and do the final grading. They got to haul some dirt in to build up where they're going to put the pad. And about the time we got ready to do that, that big hurricane that came up the East Coast just kind of churned out there. And we went about 10 days straight here where it was just messy, rainy, overcast. We didn't get a lot of bad weather. We didn't get any flooding like they did in South Carolina and North Carolina, thank goodness. But we did just get some rain, and it just, like I said, it was just messy weather for about 10 days. Nothing was drying out, and my site out here was just a big mud hole, and they couldn't get in there to work. Good news is that we've had about a little over a week now of good clear weather. Things have dried out, and they are supposed to be in this week to start doing the site prep work to get the forms put in to put the slab on there. So hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, hopefully here in the next week or so we'll have a concrete slab, and once that's done we can start building it, and things should start moving much more quickly. So hopefully the shop project is going to start kicking into high gear here very soon. So with that, let's get over here and show you some items we got coming in. So first item here I'm going to share with you guys, I'm actually kind of excited about this. So a box showed up in the mail, actually I think it was while I was out of town a couple of weeks ago, and I got home and I'm like, I don't know who that's from. And opened it up, and inside was a nice drive belt that we can use on the planer matcher. And if you've been following the planer matcher restoration project, we ran into a snag there that the old leather belt that we were using was breaking on us, and I was saying, hey, I got to get a new belt. And one just showed up at the doorstep, and this came from Mark Clark. Mark is from Highgate, Ontario, Canada, and he sent me a little note, and I don't think you'll mind me reading this, so I'm going to read this to you guys. It says, Keith, last week I was checking out your last video while getting ready to drive down to Woodstock, Georgia to visit my daughter and grandchildren, and I know how frustrated you must have been when the drive belt broke on the planer matcher. I have several belts and would like to donate one to the museum. Hope you can use it, just needs lacing and belt dressing. I was going to drive down from Woodstock, but decided to ship it from here, i.e. Woodstock, long drive from Canada. Keep the videos coming. Mark Clark, Highgate, Ontario, Canada. So anyway, he came down to Woodstock. So Woodstock's probably still another 3 hours north of us. Would love to have had you come down to the museum, but surely understand after driving all the way from Canada, not wanting to spend that little bit extra time on the road. One thing that was kind of interesting is that Mark included in the package this little poster from an event from the Huron Pioneer Threshers and Hobby Association 48th reunion, which was back in 2009. And on the front of this, it features him standing on his 1925 Waterloo steam engine, traction engine. And I'll zoom you guys in here and let you see this, so you can see his steam engine. Very, very nice. Man, I love the old traction engines. You know, we've got a couple of traction engines at the museum, but they're not operational right now. One of them was operational at one time. I have seen it run. I've never actually had the opportunity to operate it myself, and would love to get one of those going again someday. But anyway, Mark, greatly appreciate this. If all goes well, I'm hoping to be at the museum this weekend and to work on the planer matcher. So you will probably get to see this belt in action very soon. Hopefully so, because I am ready to get that project finished up. We got everything we need to finish it up. All I've needed was the time, and I just haven't had the time in the last really month, I guess now, between traveling and work and family and everything else that seems to be getting in my way lately. So anyway, I'm very excited to get this. This saved me quite a bit of money having to go out and buy a new belt, and I was just tickled pink when I opened it up and saw it. So thanks a lot, Mark. Next item here is a viewer appreciation gift that came to me from Glenn Davis. Glenn lives up in Murphy, North Carolina, and Glenn and his wife actually were able to stop by the museum probably a month or two ago as they were passing through, and got the opportunity to meet him and his wife out at the museum, and Glenn got to hang out in the shop. Also got to see our sawmill running while he was down here. We were actually running the sawmill the day he came through. Or actually he came through on 2 days, and he saw us run the sawmill briefly on one day, and he came back and visited me in the shop the next day. But Glenn wanted to send me this hammer, and this is actually a hammer that was made by him. He's a blacksmith, does some blacksmithing, and he actually hand forged the head of this hammer. And interestingly, the steel used for this, if you look on here, it says NASCAR axle head. So he has a friend, I think, that is somehow connected to NASCAR, and when they race these cars, they replace the axles in the cars pretty regularly and just throw them out basically when they're through. And he was able to get the axles and use the steel for that. And it's a special kind of steel, high tough vac arc, I think is what the grade is, and it's a really high grade of steel. But he was able to get some of that. He's made some of these hammer heads out of that, recycling the axles off of some NASCAR's axles. And the handle, interesting too, little story behind that, it says a Hurricane Sandy handle. So his, I think he said his brother lives up in the area where Hurricane Sandy went through. I think he said New Jersey maybe. But when this hurricane came through, it blew down some ash trees in his brother's yard, and they got some of the wood, saved it, and he actually made the handle out of some wood salvaged from blowdown from Hurricane Sandy. So everything on this is made from recycled materials. The hammer is very nice. He polished the front and the back. It's basically a little cross peen hammer. Will come in very handy, I'm sure. So I do appreciate that, Glenn. And it was also very nice to get to meet you and your wife as y'all were passing through. I always love to see visitors when they stop by the museum and are able to catch me out there. It's always fun to get a chance to chat with folks and get to know some of my viewers personally, and even nicer when they send something like this along. So thanks a lot, Glenn. I do appreciate the hammer. We'll put this in my collection of hammers over here, and I'm sure that it will see some use in the shop. So up next here is another viewer appreciation gift, and got several items here. All these came from Joel Haven, and Joel is a longtime viewer, subscriber on my channel, and I also have known Joel even before I started doing the videos here through the old woodworking machine site, and he actually helps me on the Vintage Machinery site that I host, my website. He does some work there with helping do some stewarding of some of the manufacturers, and he does a lot of work with steam and gas engines and kind of helps keep up that part of the website as well as the machinery side as well. Joel goes around to a lot of auctions. He goes around to a lot of tool shows and steam and gas engine shows and what have you. And seems like he's always finding some good deals on stuff. And he has sent me some really nice tools in the past, and he just got through sending me some more really nice tools I want to show you guys. So first off, you see this sitting on top. This little specialized tool right here is called a gear caliper, and it's used for measuring the teeth on gears. And we could have used this when we were doing our gear repair job a while back, but you can, it's really a neat tool in that not only are you measuring a caliper, but you also can set the depth here. So it's got two different adjustments and two different things in here that you can adjust up and down. So the first one here, there's a scale in here, there's a vernier scale in here that you can read. And this basically is a depth stop so you were measuring at the right depth on the width of that tooth. So depending on the diametrical pitch that you're measuring, you want to actually measure the thickness of that tooth at a certain depth, and you can look that information up. So you set that, and then you come in here and using this adjustment going left and right, you actually measure the thickness. So it's for measuring in two different axes. It was made for doing gear teeth, and I'm sure it could probably be used for some other applications as well. So this one here is made by Brown & Sharp. It's a number 580. They made these in two different sizes. So they made this one, which is a bigger one, which was made for measuring either 1 to 10 diametrical pitches. So that's your bigger gears. And then they also made another one of these that measures, I think, a 2 to a 20 diametral pitch, and it's a smaller size one. So anyway, this is actually a very nice tool, and I'm sure I'll probably be doing some gear work again down the road, and this will definitely come in handy for some of that down the road. So, and these are not cheap, guys. These are very, you go looking on eBay or whatever, and these things are real expensive. So that right there was really nice. And to even sweeten the pot a little bit, got these two wooden boxes here, and inside of these are some squares. So there's a 45 and a 30-60 triangles basically, and these are for doing layout work or measuring whatever. These were obviously user-made. The box was user-made, made by an R. Gallant, Gallant. He's got it stamped right in here, and these were ground, I guess, on the surface grinder, and I'm sure these are made out of tool steel. Need to be cleaned up a little bit, but they're really in excellent shape, and they've got a really nice fitted box, felt line box that they go in. And so I'm going to be probably at some point in time do some inspection work and check these for squareness and all that. One interesting thing that I noted on this though is that the 90-degree side has been ground, but this side here, the hypotenuse of the triangle, is rough. It's like he never finished these, and it's that way on both of these. On the 30-60, same way. He's got the 90-degree, but this angle is just, you can still see the mill marks in there. So at some point in time, if I ever get a surface grinder, we may see about getting these squares finished up on all sides. Anyway, I don't know exactly the backstory as to why they were never finished, or but that's just the way they were. And again, very nice user-made box. And in the larger box, we have some more squares. Now these are commercial squares. These were not user-made. But I think the box was user-made. So this is a custom-fitted box again for these three squares. There's three different sizes in here. The smallest one is a Starrett number 20. Let's see what size that is. So that's a little over 3 inches, about 3 1/4 inches. Very nice. Then this one here is marked, looks like FWP, And this is the kind that actually comes to a point. It's got the knife edge on either side. I don't have any squares like this, so this is kind of neat. And the larger, let's see, that one there, just to get a measurement on it, about a little less than 5¼ inches. And the bigger one here, this is the one I'm kind of excited about. It's also marked FWP. I'm not sure what manufacturer that is. This one's 8¼ inches. And I actually have been needing some bigger squares, so I'm excited to get these. And again, I want to check these for squareness at some point in time, just to kind of make sure everything's good on them, but I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't be. But some very nice tools here, nice fitted cases for the squares, and then a very nice gear tooth caliper as well. So Joel, thanks a lot again. You're awesome, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So these next items here come from Sean Harrington over in Woodland Hills, California. Sean is a subscriber of my channel. I actually got to meet him out at the Bar Z Industrial Bash back this summer. And Sean sent me an email or a message. He's communicated with me in some form. Unfortunately, I can't find the original communication because I was trying to dig it up to kind of tell you guys the backstory on these patches. I remember a little bit of it, but forgive me for not remembering the exact details. But Sean told me he's been reading a novel or a book, I think it's a science fiction type novel that takes place in the future, and at one point in the book, they dug up an old piece of machinery that was made by Craftsman, and it really kind of helped bring back civilization, this area. They were able to use this old tool and figure out how to use it. And in this future civilization, the language that they spoke was kind of a blended English and Russian. And so somebody translated the Craftsman name to this new Russian English language that they had, and they made up a little patch for Craftsman, like Craftsman tools like Sears sold for years. And I apologize, I don't remember the name of the book. Sean, I'm going to ask you when you see this to put some comments down there giving the backstory on this. Again, I went through my emails, I went through my messages on YouTube, and I could not find the message that he sent to me telling me about this, and I apologize for that. But like I said, I remember a little bit of it. So Sean, maybe you can fill us in the details. But anyway, these were made up by somebody, and he wanted to pass a few of them along to me, and I appreciate it. This is kind of cool, and I actually have a couple of friends that are Craftsman collectors, and I may pass a few of these along to them because I think they would get a kick out of it as well. So thanks a lot, Sean. All right, next item here. This is an eBay purchase that I made recently. And as I've told you guys before, I've been working on getting a set of Starrett number 436 micrometers up to 16 inches. And this was one of the other ones that I needed, the size that I needed. This is a 13 to 14 inch micrometer. And this was an eBay buy, found it on eBay. I think I paid, it was like $85, I think I got this for it. And I can't remember if it was a buy it now or an auction format, but anyway, I got a good deal on it. I thought it was a pretty good deal, particularly from one of these really larger micrometers. It actually came with the standard. I have standards up to 12 inches. I don't have from 13 to 16 inches, but at least this one came with a standard, so I'm not going to have to round up a standard for some of the other ones. Appears to be in very nice condition. It's actually one of the newer models of this. The older ones have a smaller barrel, the newer ones have a bigger barrel. The bigger barrels are a little bit easier to read. So very nice, and I did check it with the calibration, and it's right on the money. So very nice Starrett micrometer, and I think I'm now missing two sizes to have up to 16 inches. I'm missing, what is it, the 9 to 10 inch and the 12 to 13 inch, I think, and I'll have the 16 inches. And 16 inches is probably as big as I'll need to go. They made these up to 24 inches though, so you never know. I might get crazy and try to go to 24 one of these days. Next item here is another eBay purchase, and a little backstory on this one. So first off, what it is, this is a follow rest that fits the 16-inch Lodge and Shipley Model X lathe that we have out at the museum that I use all the time. Interesting on the backstory is that I was needing one of these for a project we were doing at some point. It's been a year or two ago. I shot a video, and a friend of mine actually has the same lathe, or actually it's a little bit earlier model lathe than the Model X that I have. It's the series before, but the follow rest was the same. And he had an original follow rest, and he let me borrow it for a job. He actually mailed it to me, shipped it to me, and he said, don't worry about it. So I'm working on getting my lathe running. It's going to be a while. So anyway, I used it on that project, and man, I just needed it. So what a follow rest is this actually mounts on the carriage on the lathe, and it basically, you got like your piece that you're turning in here, and it follows right behind. So your cutter is right here, and it actually moves with the cutter going around there. So it provides some pressure. So if you got a long, small diameter rod that you're turning or threading or whatever, putting a lot of pressure on, you can basically, the forces will flex it in the lathe, and you need some backup behind it. So I've got center rest, or a steady rest for doing all three sides of something, but I didn't have a follow rest that follows the cutter going across. So anyway, he let me borrow his. I used it for that job, and I actually kept it for until literally just a couple of weeks ago. He has about got his lathe finished. He was at the Arn Fest, the guy that I borrowed it from, and Ben Shank was his name. And anyway, I had packed up his follow rest to carry back to him. It was already packed up and ready to go, and I'm like, man, I'm really going to miss this. I might need this again. In fact, had even talked about possibly trying to make one. When I get my foundry going, I was thinking about maybe trying to cast one. We drew up the parts for this so that we could do the pattern making and actually make one. Well, lo and behold, about the same time that I boxed the one up to go back, one of my viewers, Gary Bouchard, sent me a message. He said, hey Keith, he says, I've got a Lodge and Shipley 16-inch lathe, and I thought I'd let you know that there's a guy on eBay that has 3 of these for sale. He said, I just bought one of them. They're fairly cheap, and I thought you would want to know. So I looked at it. He had given some rough dimensions. I still had the other one, so I went out and verified all the dimensions, and sure enough, it was the exact part that I needed to fit my lathe, or the lathe at the museum. I ordered it, and within just probably a few hours after ordering mine, the other one had disappeared, so all 3 of them were sold. Gary, and I tend to agree with him, he believes that these were in some military surplus. This one here appears to have maybe been used a time or two, but really it looks like it spent most of its life sitting on a shelf, just getting covered in gunk and grime. It's painted a olive drab green, which kind of makes you think that it may have been military at some point. Really don't know that for sure. But anyway, really tickled to get this. So with shipping, and this was shipped all the way from California, it's a pretty heavy piece. With shipping, the whole total on it was less than $125. So I was tickled pink to find one of these for such a reasonable price to fit that machine. Really, it's nearly a miracle that something like this would show up. So, and the timing was literally just perfect, because I carried the one up to Arn Fest, and when I got home, this one was sitting here waiting on me when I got back home. So, not that I use this very often, but I basically am not going to have to go without one at all. So this one, I think we're going to take apart. I'm going to probably put it all in the blasting cabinet, blast it, clean it up real good. It's stiff, nothing's turning on it. It's in good shape, it just needs to be cleaned up. So I think we're gonna repaint it, get everything moving good and free on it again, and just recondition it so that it's ready to go next time I need it. So you'll probably see a little project. In fact, we may go ahead and do a disassembly on this and get it ready to go into the beam blaster pretty soon. This will be a simple project to fix, to get cleaned up. But anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy seeing that. So that might be something you see down the road. So last thing for this episode, I want to see if I maybe get a little advice from some of you guys, or see if anybody can help me out on a little problem I've got here. So in one of my previous videos, I showed you guys this chuck that I picked up at Arnfest. It's a nice chuck. I got out here and did some messing with it, and it's now freed up. You need something in here to hold this in, but I got it all freed up. It's working really good. It looks like it's probably like a keyless chuck, although it's got these in here where I think you can put a bar in here to just kind of get some leverage if you need to tighten it up or loosen it. W&S Company, M613, says right here, and then up here it says number 108 New Britain drill chuck, 0 to 3/4. Union Manufacturing, New Britain, Connecticut, USA. So anyway, that's what it is as far as what it says. It's a nice chuck. It's new old stock, never been used. But here's the problem. I can't figure out the taper on here to mount something on here. I assumed that it would be a Jacobs taper, as most drill chucks have Jacobs tapers in them. And I happen to have some arbors with various Jacobs tapers on them that I actually picked some of these up at some point in time and just have them in my toolbox. So this is a number 3 Jacobs taper, and as you can see, it's too small. And you go to the number 4 Jacobs taper, and it's way too big. So there's a big difference between the number 3 and the number 4 in diameters. And I went online and found some references, to look at Jacobs tapers and different dimensions on them. So really there's nothing in the range here between these two. So I did some measuring. I don't have a telescoping gauge out here at my house shop to measure the bottom, but the top of this, you're about 850 thousandths, just a tad over that. Whereas on the number 3, the top end is 811 thousandths. So not quite sure what's going on with the taper here. If anybody has any ideas what that might be, please send me a comment down below or send me an email or something. I'd be interested in trying to figure out what that is, so that hopefully I can find some way to utilize this nice chuck. I think it'd be a good addition to the shop, but we've got to figure out what the taper to use in here to mount it. All right, guys, so that'll be another wrap, another episode of Odds and Ends in the books, and hopefully this coming weekend I'm going to have some shop time, and we'll be able to get some more shop content out to you guys real soon. Hang in there. We got plenty of interesting stuff coming up. I just need time. Haven't got time right now, but we're going to make some time, and we're going to get some more videos out to you guys. We'll talk to you later.